What is up, my butter biscuits? So in today's video, I have, what was it, like 3 videos ago, I had mentioned if you guys wanted to hear my experience working at MAC, and I did see some comments of people wanting me to talk about my experience working at MAC. So I'm gonna go into literally all the tea about working at MAC, including which, I mean, like, I'm not employed there. I haven't been employed there for like almost 2 years now, including how much you get paid, because that is relevant, you know. So I am going to be discussing that in this video, and I just want to let you guys know before we jump into the video of my experience, keep in mind it is my experience. I feel like I have expressed my feelings so many times to fellow peers, you know, have worked at MAC before, and they're just so ride or die for MAC, and y'all know I love some MAC products too, but working at MAC is definitely not the dream job that I thought it was, and some people feel the opposite, you know what I'm saying? And that's totally okay, but just keep in mind it's my experience, and not everyone is going to have the same experience as me. So just getting that out there, letting you guys know, because I know some people will defend working there so much, and I'm like, you guys, that's your experience working there. That's cool. We did not have the same experience. We're not the same people, you know what I'm saying? So it's my experience. Let me just emphasize on that before we get into it. So anyways, you guys, if you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so that way you guys get notified when I upload a new video. Make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up, because I would really appreciate that. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, y'all. So my journey at MAC started when I was 21, turning 22. And you guys, at the time, MAC was literally the dream job. I was like, oh my God, I used to just go and buy products just to experience going into MAC. I'm sure a lot of you guys have the same experience to where, you know what, MAC was like literally the makeup artist dream job, because it was the most hyped at the time, even though it wasn't the most highly paid, and there was several other good jobs out there. It's just being a MAC boy or being a MAC girl was such a big deal. That was my dream job. When I was 21, I started doing makeup at, I would say, around 17, 18, like freelancing, and I never thought I was good enough to work at MAC, so I did end up taking a makeup course at Napoleon Purtis on makeup school, but they actually went out of business now. But after that, as soon as I went to Napoleon Purtis, I started working for MAC immediately after, which I will say, like, for me, it was a little difficult to get in. I'm sure everyone has this experience, but I was so persistent, y'all. Like, being straight up, I would literally email the recruiter, and I'm not kidding you guys, 5 times a week. Like, I'm not kidding, and I know that sounds annoying, but I had heard that you have to literally bug, because they're getting thousands of emails per day of people that want to work there, you know. Especially, keep in mind, I know the hype has died down now, but this was, you know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, so the hype then, it was like, oh my God, that was the place to work. So I would literally be so annoying, emailing them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like, come on, like, just, you know, give me an interview. I ended up getting an interview. During the process, if you guys want to know, I'll just tell you guys just a little bit, okay, about it. So I had a group interview because I was being hired in as a freelance makeup artist for MAC. So when you're a freelance artist, basically you're on call. So when they have extra hours, they could give you a schedule and say, hey, can you work this shift, this shift, this shift? You kind of get to pick your own schedule, which is really cool, but you're not a permanent artist, so you don't get the benefits of being a permanent artist. So when I was going into my interview, they make you bring a model to do a 30-minute makeup on, and y'all, still to this day, doing makeup this long, I still cannot do makeup fast to save my life. Like, I'm not kidding you guys. If I'm doing makeup on somebody else and it's like a beat, like I'm talking about like a dramatic beat, like cut crease, you know, like dramatic brows, all that. I'm talking drama. It takes me like an hour and a half to an hour and 45 minutes, like no lie. I just really take a long time. So that was my biggest thing. I was like, 30 minutes to be able to do a whole makeup, like what? And I know a lot of y'all out there can do like a full makeup in 30 minutes. And some of the girls that I work with at the makeup school I work at, they be doing a full bomb face in like 45 minutes, and I'm like, I could never. Like, literally, I just move so slow. I don't know why. Anyways, completely besides the point. So I took my model, who actually was my friend at the time, Roman's sister, for those of you who know Roman. I took her, and they did a little switcheroo, and you had to switch with the person next to you, because they figured, you know, to trick you a little bit. They were like, you're used to working on this model, you probably practice on this model, so we're gonna make you switch with the person next to you. So we switched. I did the person next to me's makeup. Turns out I ended up getting the job. I was super excited to be a freelance artist, and I started like by the way, you guys, if you guys still really want to work at MAC, you guys really have to be like hounding on them, you know? And I would imagine even more so now, only because I don't think they're hiring very many people. And I keep on hearing rumors that eventually MAC is going to shut a lot of counters to open up inside of Ulta's. And I think that is the craziest thing, is because MAC for the longest time would never go inside of a Sephora, and then all of a sudden they're inside Ulta's now. It's kind of crazy. Anyways, I would imagine there to not be as many jobs as there was back then. So if you guys really do want the job as a MAC artist, you gotta hound on them. Like literally go there in person, give them your resume, introduce yourself to everybody, let them all know that. As soon as I got my employee number, so that way I can start freelancing, I went to so many locations surrounding my area, went in there, and, you know, introduced myself to the key holders. I introduced myself to the main manager, to the assistant manager, like literally just getting my feet wet, you know, trying to introduce myself to people. So eventually I started getting some hours, and that was great. So I freelanced for about 1.5 to 2 years, and I really liked it. However, I wanted the benefits of being a permanent MAC artist. And being a permanent MAC artist, you get 60% off. You guys know I've always told you, like, I am just, whoo, like, I used to go crazy shopping at MAC when I got that 60% off because it was so bomb. And speaking of which, they make it so difficult these days to get a MAC Pro card. Like, y'all, even when so I was permanent and then stepped back down to freelance. So even though while I was a freelance artist, I still couldn't get my Pro card. It was just so annoying. Like, I don't know why they make it so difficult. Just in case you guys don't know, MAC does have a Pro card. You get 40% off or 30% off if you're a hairstylist, 40% if you're a makeup artist. But they just make the process so hard, and you have to have like your own website and stuff like that. I'm just kind of like, who has a website these days? Everyone has an Instagram as their portfolio, so I just don't get it. But they're kind of dumb in my personal opinion, because I would be passing out those Pro cards left and right, because what I have noticed is everyone who shops with a discount, they purchase way more. Like they go ham, like they're like buying this and buying this, and say for example, they'll just go in and be like, oh, I just need a Fix Plus, and that's it if they don't have a discount. But if they do have a discount, they're gonna get a Fix Plus, they're gonna get a Studio Fix, they're gonna get a Studio Fix powder, they're gonna get brushes. Like they literally take advantage of the discount, and MAC is kind of dumb and should be a little bit more lenient with that and give out the Pro card a little bit more, because more people are gonna shop there. Anyways, back to this experience of working at MAC. So I freelanced for about 1.5 to 2 years, and then I became a permanent artist with an 18-hour position. So the positions are like really random there. They have like a 12-hour position, they have an 18-hour position, like 24-hour position, 32-hour position, and like the only 40-hour positions that you can get at MAC are like the assistant manager or the main manager, or I think like the third key or something like that, high up there basically. Everyone who's considered full-time is either like a 32-hour or 34. It's like really random, right? So all the tea that everyone wants to know. So when you're this is at the time, things may have changed, and I swear I hope they have changed by now. But actually, you know what though? No, they probably haven't. It's been 1.5, almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in August since I very last freelanced with a MAC, because I'll go into that. Like I said, I was freelance, permanent, then stepped back down to freelance. So, and my pay was still the same. So actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, the pay probably is still not the best. When I started as a freelance artist, y'all, at the time I was like, oh, this is bomb money. Like, oh my God. They started me off at $18 an hour, which to me was great. And I know to a lot of you out there, especially if you guys are living in other states other than California, that seems like a lot of money. However, living in California, that is not a lot of money at all. And this is the reason too why I wanted to make this video. At the time, okay, keep in mind, like I said, this was 8-9 years ago. They're starting me off at $18 an hour. At the time, working for Makeup Forever as a freelance artist, they would start you off at $24 an hour. Marc Jacobs at the counter, they would start you off at $26 an hour. And I'm sitting there like, wait, MAC is literally the #1 makeup brand in the entire world, and y'all are starting us off at 18? Like, come on, you know? So that did kind of suck, and I felt like, hey, the payment was good, because before that, I used to work at Disneyland and at Ralph's. So like I worked at Disneyland, I was getting paid minimum wage, which was like $9, you know. Working at Ralph's, getting paid like $9. Like just, Ralph's is a grocery store, by the way, just in case, depending upon where you guys are. It's related to Kroger. I know like everyone knows Kroger. So to me, I was like, I'm doubling my pay. This is great. However, the more that I got into it, the more I realized, okay, MAC is really not the best with it. But the perks of, you know, being a MAC artist and the places that it can take you and the experience that you're going to get is really worth it working there, because they are literally the most packed. Like if you go to I don't even know if a Makeup Forever booth is around these days. I haven't seen one in forever, but if you went to a Makeup Forever booth, they wouldn't really be so busy. They would have like 1 or 2 appointments, as to where MAC, in one shift, I would be doing 5 makeups, like literally in a 6-hour shift, okay? If I'm in an 8-hour shift, I would probably do 6 or 7 makeups, which is crazy, you know? Anyways, you guys, so the experience, it was really worth it. However, trying to move up within the company, it's all about sales. They do not care about your artistry. They do not care about anything else. They don't care about your work ethic. All they care about is your numbers. If you have sales, if you are the highest salesperson, you're going to move up. That's all they care about. And it really sucks. And I know a lot of you guys watching this, you're like, okay, well, it's retail, it's retail. Yes, I know it's retail, but the thing is it's also artistry. And I think that artistry has a lot to do with it, because MAC does a lot of behind the scenes makeup for so many shows, you know, so many fashion shows. They're out there doing that. And I feel like the artistry is really key. And on top of that too, a good artist knows what they're doing to be able to sell products. People didn't really see this, and this is what bothered me the most, and I would have so many conversations with management about this, is when you don't have a good artist on the floor, they're talking a oily skinned person into purchasing, let's say like oh my god, I cannot think of that foundation that was like really moisturizing. A mineralized moisturizer. Oh my god, mineralized, I forgot the name. A mineralized foundation, which is like literally made for people with like the driest of dry skin. You have them trying to persuade an oily person into purchasing this when it's not good for their skin type. It's literally gonna melt off throughout the day because they're so oily. They need something like a Pro Long Wear or a Studio Fix, something that's gonna be long wearing and mattifying. We're gonna have a return rate that is like even worse, and people are gonna be upset and not shop there anymore. And this is what I just did not understand. I would get so frustrated, and I'm like, artistry is key. When you don't match somebody, and let me tell you, people are easily persuaded to purchase something in the store. Like, they'll be like, yeah, that color looks good on you. It looks really, really good on you. It's great. No, it's great. No, it's really good. And then they'll end up purchasing it. They go outside, and their family member, their husband, their, you know, significant other, whatever, will be like, what's up with that foundation? It don't match, you know? Then they'll end up bringing it back and be like, I'm never shopping there again. People just did not understand that, and I'm like, artistry is key when it comes to selling makeup, you know? I just don't get it. Anyways, you guys, I moved up to a full-time position, which, by the way, still did not get any raise. I moved up to a full-time position, still making, you know what, actually I lie, it was $18.50. I ended up with $18.50, and I could have just like kicked myself in the ass, because I knew that I could do so much better than MAC in working there, you guys. Woo! It was the most tiring thing ever, because let me tell you this, they would set daily goals for you, but what was the most important was monthly goals. The monthly goals, say for example, you know, you have a goal of like $18,000 for the month, and your daily goal, I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out here because I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I was a permanent artist. I think it's been 4 years. Maybe even 5 years since I've been permanent, and that's when I had goals. Let's say, for example, your monthly goal, let's say $24,000, but then your daily goal is like $1,200 or whatever. They would be having you do makeup after makeup after makeup and expect you to reach this daily goal. And you guys, if you are in the middle of doing a makeup, it's so hard to step away from that client and say, you know what, I'm so sorry, I gotta step away and help this customer. When this customer wants a brow demo and then wants to know how to put on concealer and then wants to know how to put on foundation, it's like, what? No, like, it just gets too hard, and they never understood that in all my years of working there. They end up scolding you, and you could literally lose your job, because if you miss your goal 3 months in a row, then you could literally get fired for missing your goal 3 months in a row. They end up scolding you for not making your goal, but they don't realize giving you 5 makeup appointments in one day is literally, that's keeping you held down for 5 hours. How can you step away to make $1,200? And by the way, when I was working there at the time, makeup was literally a $60 minimum or $50 minimum purchase. It ended up being $60 minimum purchase. And that's all the people would buy. Like, let's keep it real. Y'all know me, I'm broke. I would do the same thing, I get it. But people would come in, spend the 50 bucks, and that's it. They're not gonna go above and beyond and spend more money. So this was the thing to me that I would just get so frustrated. I'm like, how do you guys expect me to make my goal while doing this many makeups per day? And y'all, looking back on it, like, oh, I'm a big guy, I'm a tall guy. And at the time, when I was working there, now I see they have booster chairs, you know, that goes up and down, up and down. And at the time when I was working there, I was hunched over the whole time. Like literally, I already looked like Quasimodo, but imagine my back then. I'm really looking like the Hunchback now. And I'm just like, oh my God, I put in a complaint to get my own chair. They denied my request to get my own chair, and y'all, my back is tore up till this day. Like literally tore up from being hunched over for years, you know? And I'm just like, what the hell? Working for a company like this, you slave away for them. All they look at you is like you're a dollar sign, and that's it. It's just really, really annoying. And on top of that, when I started working at MAC, you guys, when a collection came out, you would get gratis. It would be the full collection. So whatever collection it is, you would get the full thing. So that was a really awesome perk of working there. However, 2 years or 3 years into working at MAC, they literally, you would get one piece of gratis. I'm sitting there like, huh. So not only is Makeup Forever getting like bomb gratis, they're getting the full collection, every single product made, they're getting paid $6 more an hour. Like what? Like it's just so crazy to me, you guys. And now that I have grown and like learned to outsource, you know, like there's other things other than MAC, and everyone knows this by now. It just trips me out that I'm like, oh my God, I spent so many years there thinking this was my dream job, and really, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make it seem like it was the worst job ever, because let me tell you, like, would I rather work at MAC or would I rather work at Disneyland? You know, working at Disneyland to me, whoo-hoo, y'all, working at Disneyland, I was one angry person back then. I hated working at Disneyland, but it was my first job and I was making money, and you know, I worked there from 16 to 18, you know. It was good, but like, it was terrible. You know what I'm saying? It was good as far as me getting a paycheck. Anyways, so I would rather work at MAC than work at Disneyland, you get me? But if you guys are in the makeup field, I would definitely explore your options in working different places, because working there, it just sucks. It's literally all about money. And if you go in there thinking that like, oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna advance as an artist and become somebody from there, it's not going to happen. You guys need to do that on your own. Start connecting with people, networking with people who are working in the fashion world, who are working in magazine, who's working in print, you know, things like this, because working there is not really going to take you to the places that you would want it to go. Like when I say, don't get me wrong though, because there are some people who are artists, like say for example, his name's Gregory Alt. He's a MAC artist, and he like does Gwen Stefani's makeup, and he does all the behind the scenes fashion shows with MAC. So he's gone far, but there's very, very, very limited positions. And I don't see those people leaving those positions until they're 65 or 70, because they have been in those positions for literally decades. And it's just like, how do you grow? How do you take their spot if there's no spots to be taken? You get me? So it's just really hard. So all in all, in a nutshell, working at MAC is really not all what it's cracked up to be. I'm sure everyone knows that by now. And just to be straight up with you guys, at the end of, right before I stepped down from MAC to go back into freelance, everyone and their mom, and I'm telling you, everyone and their mom was leaving MAC to go to Morphe, because Morphe was starting off everyone's pay $2 more than what you were making at MAC. Like, they would say, because I had a couple people that ended up working at Morphe, they would say, okay, let us, like, you know, see your pay stub or whatever to know we want to better your rate than MAC, you know? So I knew a few people who were making $20 an hour, and Morphe would start them off at 22, and I'm just kind of like, for a brand new company like Morphe to come out of nowhere, start opening up locations, to start their people off more than MAC. MAC is underneath the Estee Lauder umbrella, and Estee Lauder is literally worth billions, you guys, billions. And at one point, I don't know these days, but at one point MAC was the #1 selling makeup brand in the entire world. And how they can only pay their artist $18. And like I said, I know to some people that may be a lot of money, but considering, you know, your competition, it's really not. I'm telling you, every other makeup counter, actual makeup counter, I'm not talking about Ulta and Sephora, because I know Ulta and Sephora were lower than that. Every other counter was getting paid more than MAC, and I'm just sitting there like, what? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And at the end of the day, I know money is not everything, but you know, like I said, living in California is really, really expensive. Also, another thing about MAC that I wanted to talk about, this was one of my biggest frustrations working at MAC. I think people need to do their research a little bit more. I understand it completely. Working at MAC, MAC has always been a cruelty-free brand, at least for the time that I was working there, ever since I was 21, you know? They have been cruelty-free, but they cannot be labeled as cruelty-free because they are underneath the Estee Lauder umbrella, and Estee Lauder is not cruelty-free, or some of their daughter brands are not cruelty free, so therefore they can't be labeled as cruelty free. Because a lot of people would go into MAC and be like, I would love to buy MAC, but no, you guys test on animals. And it's like, we don't test on animals. Like, we don't. You know, that was the biggest thing to me. I was like, I get it though. I get it. Because everyone puts the rumor out there that MAC is just so, you know, this and that and blah, blah, blah. That's one thing I wanted to throw in this video, because I think a lot of people think that MAC is not cruelty free, and they actually are. They just can't be labeled as that. And on top of that too, because they sell to China, and China has their strict laws that they do require testing on animals, that the China market does test on animals. Therefore, that's another reason why they can't be labeled as a cruelty free brand. You get me? Anyways, you guys, let me just take a little minute here to make sure I remember everything about my MAC history. Okay, I remembered two random things that I wanted to throw onto this too. Not that anyone cares about this, I'm sure, but, well, actually, you know what? I think people do, because a lot of people have this misconception that everyone that works at MAC is like trying to like hustle you because they're getting commission. Okay, so one thing here is that when you're a Macy's employee, you do not get commission, or if you're a freestanding MAC store, you do not get commission. Working at Nordstrom's, they do get commission, so therefore over there they may, you know, try to sell you a little bit more. And I know everyone has an experience of saying, oh my god, that MAC girl or that MAC guy is trying to sell me everything and I don't want to buy it. Like, oh my gosh, like, dang, I know you make commission. No, no one makes commission over there besides Nordstrom's. They're just trying to make their goal, and sometimes they feel the pressure of making their goal because they could potentially lose their job if they don't make their goal. So that makes it very difficult, and it makes people think that everyone at MAC makes commission, and that's not the truth. Only at Nordstrom's and maybe Bloomingdale's, I believe. But other than that, Macy's, no, and a freestanding MAC store, no, they do not make commission. Also, another random thing, as I mentioned, the 60% off discount card when you are a permanent artist, there's a $4,000 cap to that. So you can't pass spending $4,000 in a year. And I know that sounds like hard to do, because $4,000 with 60% off is like, what, like $9,000 in product? But that's easy to spend when you're trying to build your kit, as well as like buy gifts for your friends and family and things like that. So yeah, all in all, my experience at working at MAC, honestly, it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best. It's definitely a job that I don't want to go back to. I feel like MAC as a whole, they just don't care about you as a person. They just look at you as a dollar sign. And I know a lot of you guys are probably watching this saying, yeah, so does my company, because I know there are millions of companies out there who look at their people as just dollar signs, and I think that that sucks. I just wish that MAC would be the difference, be the change, because it could be a really cool place to work for, and it could be a really cool stepping stone to start your makeup career. But there's just a lot of little things that just irk you, you know. And if you guys are working there, if any of you guys have worked at MAC, you guys will know that kissing ass is gonna get you the furthest. Like, oh my god, you guys, the amount of ass kissers at MAC just drove me crazy. And coming from like where I came from, like we just don't deal with ass kissers, and that to me was like the biggest thing. Like, it was literally it made me so mad. I can't even describe to you guys on camera how mad it made me, being like, just seeing the way people kiss ass to try to move up, and then seeing them eventually move up. I'm just like, this shady, but I know that's like that at every other company in the world. I know, but it's just telling you guys my experience, okay? That's it. Anyways, you guys, I'm sorry this video is so long. I just had so much to say. Obviously, this was a big chunk of my life. I worked there for, you know, almost, what, 8 years? 7 years, 7.5 years, something like that. It was a really long time, so it was a big chunk of my years. So that's why I had so much to say. All in all, I would say if you guys are looking for makeup experience and a MAC is hiring, I would say give it a shot, but just know it's not going to be the best job. You may get taken advantage of a little bit, but you will learn some things for sure. You will definitely learn some things. But yeah, anyways, that is all I have to say, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Peace out, Girl Scout.